Coming up tonight on Game All Nite, I'm joined by Pep Macdonald from Watch It Played. And be sure to check out our sponsor, Game Toppers, at GameToppersLLC.com. Upgrade your gaming experience.
Welcome to Game All Nite.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Game All Nite. Tonight, I am joined by Pep Macdonald in a minute, as you'll see. But right now, I have Dan, the bartender, with me, and he's sitting over in the bar getting ready. He just poured me a nice, I believe this is a Balvenie Doublewood for myself. Thank you, sir. Well done, well done.
If I can keep the glasses full, I'm doing my job.
You absolutely are. What is in your not-so-full glass?
I've been working on this one.
You have been.
So this is Victory's Vital IPA.
All right, Dan. So, well, I mean, that's the first one through. You're going to have to probably pull another one out later, I guess, right?
I think I've got that handled. I have everything I need right here.
You most certainly do. So, speaking of beverages, I do have my guest, Pep. And real quick, before he pops up on the screen, I just want to point out the picture we're going to reference. Up here in the top corner, you'll see Pep and I, we played a game at Gen Con, people. Granted, it was rock, paper, scissors. I still count it. And for the record, Pep won twice. So that's unfortunate. So, Mr. Pep, what are you drinking tonight?
Hello. I'm double fisting. I've
You
got
are?
a nice, refreshing glass of milk
Excellent.
and a nice, cool, tall glass of water.
Wow. You are, wow. I have nothing for you. But,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I hear this water is really well aged. I think it's 4 billion years old.
oh, it's
so-
that Icelandic North Canadian glacier water, I guess. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little mixed, so it's not pure, but
Okay, fair
you know,
enough.
it's good either way.
You got to cut it, otherwise it's just too expensive. That's the problem.
Oh yeah. We don't want to pay $1,000 a glass. It's a little much.
Absolutely. So, those of you who watched the channel and braved our fiasco that we had, Pep was kind enough to come on, not knowing anything about the show, just kind of said, hell, it's Fiasco, I want to play. And that was amazing. And, you know, I encourage you, if you didn't watch it, go back. We were still learning, but we're going to do it again because that was way too much fun, right? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, that was my first time I'd ever played it too, and I had a blast. So I went and played it with some friends the week after.
Okay.
And we played it with only 3 of us, so that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a little tough because you have to have a lot of NPCs and people playing double characters and things.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the 2 people that I played with, they couldn't quite comprehend that they had to play someone other than themselves. So they ended up playing themselves, much to my dismay.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird hybrid, right? Because it's, in one hand, it is an RPG, but it's in the style of a movie set. So you kind of hop in and out of character on top of potentially having to play NPCs in the process. So it's there's a lot going on. What scenario did you play?
Yeah, definitely. We did the I think the Jason themed scenario, the one at the
like cabin in the woods.
What's it called? The cabin in the woods, or the like where the kids hang out. I can't think of summer camp.
Okay, yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, the 3 of us went out there for summer camp, and we found a homeless man that had taken up residence in the camp. And apparently, there was a deep-seated secret that I was there, and I set the homeless guy there as a plant who brought a book that would help me resurrect my budgie. And it got really twisted at some point. Eventually, the budgie carried one of the other 2 off, and yeah.
Well, you know, it's hard to find good, reliable budgies these days. That's the problem.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
It is. Now I see you also have a monster Jenga tower behind you. Now, granted, it's
I do.
it's Canadian themed, but there's part of me that's really hoping that it's for a game of Dread. Is it not?
It's called Jumbling Tower, and it's got a little beaver on the bottom of it. Oh, you know what? I just got to show you at this point.
Uh-oh.
Because there's a little beaver here. There, you see him?
You do not disappoint, sir.
It's just as you expect. It's definitely Canadian Jenga. Now, my one problem I have with this is that the blocks are not. You know how Jenga towers go 3 by 3.
Right.
The blocks aren't spaced properly. There's about an inch between each block if you set it up 3 by 3.
So it's not
like
the scale, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So you can play Jenga with it, but it's not. I don't know. It's not perfect.
Right. You're kind of playing like Penga. You know, kind of sounds like Jenga, but it's not really. It's kind of the knockoff. But have you ever played with?
I think the beaver got to the blocks.
Well, you know, I mean that's what made you buy it, right? Like
Pretty much.
But so, have you ever heard of the Dread system for RPGs?
No. What's that?
So you now have a brand new use for this tower. So the Dread RPG system, and it's number one is it's really good for a one-off, but it's also designed to have this huge tension ramp through the game, because what you do is, as the game master, you walk your people through the adventure, and every time they need to make a decision, if it's easy, pull a block. You know, if it's hard, make 2 blocks. And then they are playing Jenga in the middle of the table throughout the process of the game. So obviously, the longer it goes, the more tension, because it's easy to do stuff at the beginning. Because, you know, it's only a block. Who cares? You'll care later, believe me, because you're like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you start to do these things. People can die. Now, they can come back, but, you know, they can die if you knock over the tower. You're dead. And you're out. But it's a really cool system, especially if you like the horror theme. I think it plays really well into that genre. So, highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on the horror theme, so I'd probably enjoy it because I love dexterity games. So if you mix the two together, that's 75%. So
right. I mean that sounds like it in a nutshell. I always love when you guys used to do your live talk throughs and always play a game in the middle of it. I think that's hysterical. I get a kick out of that.
Funny enough, I wasn't sure, so I pulled a game out in case we were going to do that. But
well, we do play a game, but we play a game at the end, and usually it's just I wing it. It's usually a brainchild of mine, but we can play yours too. I don't see why not.
I'm impatient, but we don't have to. It's funny enough, you mentioned Jenga. I don't know if you can see it. Hiding behind Onitama up here, which might be out of the screen. Oh, but there's another regular sized Jenga up here.
That's impressive.
And then I also have a tiny Jenga, which is that one's hiding somewhere that's out of my reach. So yeah, I have a tiny Jenga that's only about this tall.
So you kind of have a Jenga collection then.
Yeah, well, that's why I ended up getting the big one too. Partially was because I already had the really tiny one and the really normal one, so I wanted the big one.
I think that's completely reasonable. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Once you see the miniature, you want the big one. It's the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
So what's with all the turtles? I mean, you obviously would not put them there if you did not want me to bring them up. But I mean, you're kind of like, it's almost like I have this Normandy beach invasion of turtles coming to lay eggs, like encroaching on the bottom half of the screen here. What's going on?
Yeah, well, a lot of times when I'm on live shows and stuff, for example, people ask me, do you collect anything? What are your hobbies? So just in case that came up, I didn't mean for them to spark it immediately, but I do collect turtles. I had the little bobblehead turtle that you already saw there, and I collect dice. So yeah, I just got quite a few of them, and some of them even hold on to my dice.
Oh, well, that's like ingenious for you. It's like both your hobbies colliding in some weird turtle dice mashup. Now all you need is like turtle-shaped dice to go inside the turtle that holds dice, and you'd be full on meta.
I know, that's what I kind of want is turtle shell dice. I don't think I want them made out of turtle shells, but
No.
they'd have to be baby turtles, so that'd be... But I really like having turtle things that actually do something. Like this is, of course, a bottle opener.
Of course.
Yeah,
And
like a big metal bottle opener, and it's a turtle.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you got to open your milk somehow, right?
It's funny. I really should have just had a drink. I usually drink on these type of things, but
You totally
I just
do.
had milk.
So if I were here, if you were here at the bar, what would I be mixing you? What would I be pouring you?
Oh, I'll take anything. I do prefer ciders.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually I did a little convention in my house for my birthday last weekend actually, and I put a cider on draft this year to be a little different. That and I'm trying to cut down on the calories. I'll drink IPAs all day, but man, those calories will kill you. I got to keep my TV figure now, apparently.
That's fair.
So I think everybody knows what you do, right? You at the moment you kind of help Rodney with Watch It Played. You guys do some playthroughs. You do some walkthroughs. You might teach a game or two, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you do that. So what do you do when you're not? Because I can't imagine that that's the only thing you do, right? Got to do something else.
It feels like that sometimes. It's been a busy week, but yeah, I don't know. I do a lot of things. I don't know, like running, hiking, obviously collecting turtles and dice, playing board games, video games. I do sword fighting. I haven't done that a lot recently, but I guess you probably actually, they're...
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That would be where one of the sets you guys usually do is over in front of your swords, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice,
And
nice. Got a little dojo going on over there or something?
Yeah, actually, that happened on one of our first live shows. Somebody saw the Shinai and brought them up and asked what was going on there. So the next live show, Rodney and I just started off with a little duel before we went back to the regular show.
So how did you guys meet? How did you come to, weasel your way onto a show and, kind of take over for the spot that the kids vacated?
Yeah, and that's the funny way. It almost does feel like a little bit like it get weaseled into because it's a fun story. So when Rodney came to the island, I don't even know how many years ago, six or 7 years ago now. I think like the year after he started the show. And so whenever he came, he went to one of the local game stores in Charlottetown, which is about an hour away. And he basically asked, hey, do you have anyone from out my direction that comes in and plays games? And they said, oh, yeah, there's this Pep guy, and he brings some people in. And his daughter, Andrea, had done a couple plays with me because, I'm also into theater. So
that explains a few more things.
That's fair. But yeah, we so she said, oh yeah, I've done plays with him. I can get you his email address, and he sends me an email. And I hang out with friends and play games, but generally just be 2 or 3 people come over. We played Magic or Catan at the time.
Right.
I wasn't heavy into the board game scene. And Rodney sends me an email and says, hey, I'd really like to have like a local group or something. Is there any chance you could send out a message to any friends you have who game and like maybe have like a game night at your house? And so I did it. I'd never done it before, but I sent out messages to everyone and was like, everyone, let's meet at my place on, whatever it was, Wednesday. And 20 people showed up in my apartment. And let me tell you, I had a total of 8 seats. Like I had like the 4 kitchen chairs and like we had the couch set up and like another chair. There were 8 total spots that these 20 people could sit. And like 2.5 tables. So it was hectic.
Wow.
And it went great though. And so he said like, hey, that was really great, but that's a little small space. So we ended up asking like our local wellness center if they would give us some table space, and behold, from there on we had a game group. And it's evolved over the years. Like now it's just done at my place, but now I have 6 tables and 20 chairs, but now there's only like 10 people who show up. So
This was before Rodney really started filming too, so it's not like they all came to see Rodney, right? It was just hey, it's a new game night. Let's go check it out.
Yeah, and so it eventually, of course, gaming with Rodney, it just got to the point where actually this is where the weaseling in comes in, because the main reason that I ended up on the show was that he started doing, kind of live shows and things, and his internet at his house is not good at all.
Okay.
So as a good example, when he goes to upload a video, it would take him overnight. Like it would take him 8 hours to upload one of the normal videos. And it takes 5 minutes to do it at my house. And he just can't get the good internet where he is, which is funny because he's 3-minute drive away. So,
but it's that big of a difference.
He's down the wrong road, and so he came to my place to do a live show, and of course I'm there in the background, and so I popped onto the camera and said hi, and I just said hi more and more, and then eventually I was in the videos. And when it got to the point that Andrew was moving away and Luke was just not necessarily not wanting to be on the show quite as much, but
right.
going to school, so there's only so much time you can spend in the basement. And so, Rodney reached out to me, and that's kind of how we got to where we are today. Eventually, I got, it's we film in the basement. It's not bad.
Got news for you. So do we.
Yeah,
it works. I think that's where everybody films, because it's kind of the only space. The only problem is that I had to kind of move my main PC and everything into the basement, so my office is like a vacant wasteland right now. And my wife's like, "So what's up with the office?" And I'm like, "Oh, it'll be an office again as soon as I can afford another PC to throw up there, because as much as I like my basement, I don't really want to spend all these hours down here. Natural sunlight is a good thing, right?"
Yeah, the downside of the basement was that Rodney's basement wasn't fully finished before, so sometimes he would do that on his like little behind the scenes videos.
Right.
He would kind of turn the camera around and be like, "By the way, this is where I'm filming," because it's like, oh, a nice set prop, and then immediately the rest of the basement, and it was cold. It was so unbearably cold in that basement, especially during the winter, and so he refinished the basement. I think it was last summer, and the place looks great now, and it's actually it's heated, and it's just this nice area. You can point the camera wherever you want and shoot, and it's just wonderful.
We are about 2 weeks away from him announcing the BoardGameGeek mashup, where the show is kind of merging in with BoardGameGeek to the extent that they're partnering and everything. So what does that mean for Pep?
Well, it's funny you ask that, because when Rodney recorded the video to say, "Oh, this is the announcement," he didn't really mention me.
No, he didn't. And I'm like, is Pep out of work?
I know. But no, the main reason he didn't mention me was he didn't think anyone would assume otherwise. Like he sees me as so ingrained in the show that to him, when he says, "Oh, Watch It Played is doing this," like it just involves me too. And so there was a lot of questions from people in the comments that were asking that, and that meant a lot to me, honestly, that people were very concerned, like, "You're still going to be on the show, right?" And it's like, yeah. So no, I'm definitely still on the show. The upside is that because we're not doing a fundraiser, my involvement in the show isn't a stretch goal anymore. It isn't like if we get enough money, I can get paid. Like I'm involved in the deal with BGG essentially. So.
Well, that's good. I mean,
which is very nice.
You could be everyone else's stretch goal. That's that's the thing. You get 5% of Pep, and then I think that's a good stretch goal, and then it'd be like a timeshare.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, we could
I could reach out to Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Well, just reach out to other Kickstarters and say, "Oh, well, just put a really high stretch goal that if you reach that, Pep will come and play the game with you."
Exactly.
Like, whatever. I don't know why people would care that much, but
I think it'd be hysterical. Just
I
have
think
you
I'm
start
fun to
popping
play
up. All of a sudden, you're popping up on all these other shows, and you're like, "What are you doing here?" "I'm down from Canada. Hey, let's play some games."
I'll come down for the 4th of July. Confuse everyone.
Oh, yeah, right? It's great down here on the 4th. Let them have their fun. Well, we got to talk about some more stuff, mister, but I think we should take a quick break and then pause for some station identification, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So we'll be right back after this.
Introducing the all-new convenient travel edition of Game All Nite. Perfectly sized to fit in your phone or audio device, the Game All Nite audio show is now a podcast you can take with you on the go. Featuring the witty repartee you have come to know and love from the video show, but with no distracting pretty sets or guests to get in the way of your listening enjoyment. Now you can play along in the comfort of your car, filling your ear holes with soon-to-be classic episodes and games galore. Find links, news, and episode guides at GameAllNightShow.com. Download yours today.
All right. So I'm back with Pep. He's back. He's got a little pep in his step, right? You never hear that,
Yeah.
right? Never.
No, only every time.
So what's up with the Coca-Cola product placement all of a sudden? We take like a 5-minute break here, and I guess you got self-conscious about the water and you decided you needed to drink some flat Coke, right?
Yeah, it actually is flat. Well, a little bit flat.
A little bit.
I checked. I had no alcohol in the house at all, so I went with the next best thing.
You know, you have plenty of time to prepare for the show, and I'm just, he had a whole 3 days, but I'm kind of disappointed. But
liquor stores only open on Sundays.
Is
Canada.
it? It's kind of like the opposite blue law. You call it the red law up there. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
You can buy maple syrup 6 days a week, liquor 1. Is that?
Yeah. Oh, I actually had a really good maple liqueur recently. Yeah, it was great.
If I was playing along, I should have had some maple bourbon I have. That's made up in Vermont. That's really tasty. But
it's good. Pour it over some ice cream.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try that now. That sounds awesome. So I don't know if you know, but in the 70s, maybe dating myself, maybe. There was a show called Laverne and Shirley, and they drank Pepsi and milk was a thing on their show. I kind of feel like, you have both of these things on the table. I kind of think you need to experience this slice of Americana, as it were, now. What do you guys think? Dan, do you think as a bartender, do you...
Yeah, as a fictional bartender, this is horrifying to all my sensibilities. I would need to be tipped generously to mix that back here. But power to you, Pep.
It's not a cement mixer, or anything like that. We're not asking.
It's not going to curdle?
No. It'll be fine.
Well, will it not curdle?
No.
I know it does with fruit juice.
I mean, if your Coke is bad, it'll. But...
Yeah, I was gonna say, you said Pepsi. Is it okay that it's Coke? That's not gonna.
Well,
it's not gonna change anything.
See, here's the thing. I'm a Pepsi drinker. I like it. So.
What's the ratio here?
It's about 50-50 works. So it looks about right.
Okay, I know you can't smell this, but here, smell this.
Smell-o-vision. Put it up again. I'll scratch and sniff.
Here. But it nullified the smell. Like, I don't smell milk. I don't smell Pepsi. I smell nothing.
Nothing. This is a first. We're introducing the Milk and Pepsi to Canada.
Wow, you know what? That's actually really good. That's really good.
Right? It's not bad. What it tastes like is kind of like you had a Coke float that all the float melted, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like a float with no floaty ice cream bits.
Exactly. How do you make a Coke float? Throw it in the water half empty. It'll float.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I heard you recently had a birthday, right? I recently had a birthday. Yeah. Did you do anything cool for your birthday?
My friends threw a surprise party. It's not a surprise because they do it every year. But it was a lot of fun.
I threw my own surprise party.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I mean, in a way, I did too, because normally I have my game nights here.
Okay.
And so what ended up happening was I just asked my friend Jackie. I said, hey, do you mind hosting game night this week? And I knew it was my birthday. She knew it was my birthday. So in my head, I think I obviously knew that she was going to like get me a cake or something like that. And that's what happened. We had like regular game night, and then halfway through, people started whispering, and then a cake appeared, and people started singing. So
if that's all it took was just a little whispering and cake would appear, I'd be like 800 pounds.
Oh yeah, I hear that. Actually, funny enough, she gave me a present too, which I really appreciate, and you might see on the shelf here.
All right.
Twilight Imperium 4th edition.
Holy crap, that's a nice friend.
I know. I thought that too. I thought that's an excessive gift.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, but I also got a gift for myself. Because I started getting back into playing Magic recently, and I was having trouble finding something to carry it in. I was carrying around like briefcases and stuff. So what I did was I bought myself a quiver.
Oh my goodness.
This thing is fantastic.
In,
cannot
like,
imagine.
Tuxedo black, no less.
Oh yeah, and I got all my Magic decks in there. Well, some of my Magic decks, and yeah, it's really good. And I hadn't really held it like this before, so it's good to know that things don't fall out whenever you hold it sideways.
No, you mean one of these?
You got the teal. You got the teal.
I wanted a color that just kind of stood out and didn't like necessarily but the black is downright sexy with that chrome. Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, but you know what? The teal has the appeal.
I like that. I was thinking to get my wife a purple one just so that she can Sherpa more games around when we're out at Origins or something.
Or just double shoulder the things.
Right? No, you could do it like cross your back like Deadpool style, but with quivers.
Bandoliers
the
across
coolest
the chest.
Yeah. What's that?
The thing that these things will hold is a bottle of wine.
I like the way you think, sir. Although,
yeah,
by wine, do you mean
you'd
like
probably get a
100
bottle of
proof
scotch.
something? so
it fits any long bottle.
Okay. No, I'm really sad to say that I hadn't even thought of that. But if you now I have like 5 days that I need to order one of these. Luckily, Amazon has it. But so you said you have Magic. Do you have something else in yours?
No, it's actually all it's all Magic.
Holy crap!
I have all just Magic decks in here.
Wow. Well, that really takes
know
this
what
whole
else to
next
put
bit
in
out
at
of
the
the equation, because what a person carries in their quiver, I think says a lot about them, and the fact that you have all this Magic says volumes. I mean, I have Skull and Roses. I think I have an Anomia. Like, this is the party game one, right? Because I got like Happy Salmon.
Oh,
North Star will be happy. And then Fun Employment. Have you ever played that?
I have played that. Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, I love it.
I played Skull and Roses. I played all the ones you mentioned, but Skull and Roses is one that it was one of the first games I ever played at Game Group, and so it's cool to see that. I haven't played it in a long time though.
I love it. I mean, honestly, you can just do it with coasters, right? Like, you don't need to have fancy ones. Sorry for all that noise. I'm sure Reuven loves it. But
although, speaking of fancy coasters, I got these little dice coasters.
Of course. But do you have turtle coasters?
I don't. That's
all right. So all the ladies out there who are shopping for Pep for a belated birthday gift, turtle coasters. Yeah.
I have these little bowls. Oh, little bowls that hold my
turtle
dinglies
money?
that are turtles. Yeah. I think this is Takedo money. Yeah,
okay.
Takedo.
I guess you don't play Takedo that much, or?
Maybe I play it enough that I need to have the tokens out all the time.
Maybe. Or have you ever put like your metal money in a game and forgot which game it was in, and then you have to hunt for it? That's always fun.
No, I don't do that. But for the longest time, I like to poke around with designing games, and often I'll pull dice out of other games so I can use them as like prototype stuff. So sometimes I'll open up a game that uses a lot of dice and be like, yeah, where are those?
Oh, they're in prototype B. So
Yeah.
any prospects with that, or you just like the exercise?
I like the exercise. I mean, if I showed something off and someone was interested, I wouldn't I definitely wouldn't mind that. But I don't actively go trying, mostly because I don't actively play test them. So
Okay.
I feel like if I reached out to somebody, I would be a little disingenuous, and if I said that I put a lot of time into designing it. So
Because
they're like,
that's
oh,
what-
I had
that's-
this one idea.
yeah. And that's like the first question they always ask is like, well, how much have you play tested? And you're like, I put 100 times with my mom, right? That's always the answer they
exactly.
want. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have what I would think of as like a good local playtesting group either, so that's fine though.
That's fair. Now, with
It's a good
with
exercise.
with you guys doing the run throughs and everything, and the teach throughs and the teach through, take down, teach through, take down, teach through when you get it right the fifth time, right?
Yeah.
Because we have seen that happen, and if I mock, but if I did it, nobody would be playing anything right. I'd have fired 3 producers, and it would be horrible. I'd have a temper tantrum because I am horrible. I'm a great teacher, but when it comes to rules of games, apparently not so much. So
Yeah,
so
I know
what
the one
is-
you're talking about too. It was Pandemic was the one that you're referencing. Yeah,
Pandemic. I mean,
which
it's
was
like-
really funny.
because it's like one of the, I don't want to say it's the easiest, but it's definitely one that we've been doing this for since 2012. What happened?
Yeah.
So
That's actually really fun with games like that too, because again, it should be easy to teach. But funny enough, when you go back to an old game like that one and Ticket to Ride, I remember both of us, as we were doing the scripting and talking to the publisher and whatnot, we found things that were like, oh, that's a rule. Like I feel like we should have known that. Like with Pandemic, the exact spots where you set the little beakers on whether or not you've cured it or
Okay.
not yet. Like we had those in the wrong spot when we first did the video, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's not where those go." And we're like, "Oh, I don't know why we never would have thought to put them on that spot, but okay."
Oops.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, no, we just kept little bits on that one, just kept slipping under our radar, and we kept having to take it down.
Yikes. Now, what does your actual like play schedule look like to have to be able to get like the required plays in? Because like one of the things I love anybody who doesn't have to review games and does other things with them. Because I mean,
Yeah.
everybody kind of knows to review. Like you need to play it. You need to play it a lot of counts. You need to get a good feel for it. I get all that, but when you're talking about trying to learn a game enough to teach it and to do it well, so you don't have those kind of problems, right? Like how long does it take before you really feel like you guys are comfortable with it before you're gonna? I'm not gonna have anything to talk about Rodney when he comes on, but hey,
Yes.
what's that like?
Well, it's funny because, like you said, a reviewer probably should be playing the game quite a few times, and I don't want to dig at any of them, but I don't think they do. I think a lot of times they'll play it once and then they'll form an opinion. And I mean, of course, I'll form an opinion when I play a game once, but I don't talk about my opinions all that much. So, but when we teach them, honestly, we really do only play once or maybe twice if the game is especially difficult.
Okay.
And the big reason why is because when we play, we don't play the games for fun when we're playing them for work. We play with notepads, and if something happens, and I think either A, how does this work in this moment, or B, this mixed with something else that happens, how would this work? We write all that stuff down, and like we think of possible combinations of what could happen. And we reach out to the publisher like immediately after playing it and say, like, here are 15 questions about situations that could come up in the game. Like, how does this work? So that's a big reason why we don't have to play it a lot, is because we definitely lean on the publishers to just give us the answers to the questions we need.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like some things are just vaguely worded, and you kind of need the final say. And we do a lot of research in the background too. If a game isn't absolutely new, we'll go and look on the BGG forums and everything. And if somebody's asking the same question a lot, we'll make sure to try to include the answer to that in the video somewhere, or some sort of a clarification of it. So yeah, generally we play once.
So of the ones that you've been directly involved with, I have my idea of what I think might be the most challenging, but what one do you think has been, like, aside from multiple takes and things, but just the hardest to kind of present in a manner that kind of fits with the easy learning style you're trying to go for?
Oh yeah, that's hard, because up to a point you forget about things from a long time ago. The last one that comes to mind though is First Martians.
Okay.
And it was just because there's a lot of moving parts. Like almost every time you do something gets affected.
Right.
And that will often mean that something else is going to change. And, if you're sitting down at the table with two people playing the game, it's not that big of a deal. But when you're recording, there's a little bit of special attention paid to like the camera and getting things up and down and, a little bit of witty banter. So it's really hard to remember to go back and change a lot of those things.
Right.
And if something ever goes wrong and you need to redo a take, it's really hard to remember, whoops, that one thing moved between takes. We now need to go back and change that. So that one had a lot of those little fiddly bits.
Right.
And it was difficult because of that. And because it was on the app, we had to do a lot of switching between like recording what was happening in the app versus recording like us. So it was just a lot of management on that one. And we had a lot of fun playing it, but it was, there was a lot of management in making that gameplay happen.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. And then, for me, the one that kind of stands out that you've taught that's really been kind of one of the harder ones for me to play and grok was Argent, the Consortium. And
oh, yes.
And then you guys did that one, and I'm just like, but with so many permutations and variables in that game, I'm like, I'm sure there's a point where Rodney goes, and I'll leave it for you to discover on your own.
Oh yeah, that's a very classic line. The joys of editing now. So the editing process that we have is Rodney films. Rodney films, and I do the camera work for him, so he doesn't have to get up and down and change angles and everything. And then while he's doing his takes, I go and I take whatever footage is already done and I start editing. So I'm editing and doing the camera work while he's actually recording. So it sped up the process quite a bit.
Okay.
But it's great because I'll have the mic on in one ear and I'll always hear Rodney in the other because I want to be ready for if he says like, oh, I'm ready for the next shot. And there's just all these classic lines that you always are just ready to hear. Like we'll talk about that in a little more detail later, and I'll leave that for you to discover on your own. And like it's the intonation, it's the same every time, and it's fantastic.
It's like it almost sounds like you're using the same cut, but you're totally not using the same cut every single time.
I've joked about that before. I've joked and said like there's lines like that you could probably get away with just doing it and then like superimposing the image of the game in front of you, and people might not notice.
Yeah, you'd almost have to see if they caught it or not. All right, so that's the hardest one. What's kind of been the most fun?
I think, funny enough, during Fiasco, this came up, but Fog of Love we did recently. I mean, we have a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with Role Player, which we did very recently. Just because I got to role play as Thok, and like Thok likes to smash, and Thok not so smart. So like, that was a lot of fun, and people really quickly grabbed onto that character. So that was a lot of fun to do. But for the same regard, when we did Fog of Love, it was fun because we got to role play characters.
Okay. And
it was a lot of fun, like back and forth. And people always say Rodney and I kind of have that little bromance thing going on. So it was great to actually take that and evolve that into a relationship with characters. So
awesome.
But the big thing was that one. The reason I say that's the answer to the question was that was one of the easiest to shoot. We basically just rolled the camera and did it. And what normally might take 3 hours of filming would end up taking like an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes. Like it was just so smooth. And we would come out of every one and be like, it's noon, and we're done. And it was great.
Oh, I can definitely. You get into the editing time dilation machine. You're like, how does it take like 1 hour's worth of work takes 2 to work on? It's just
Yeah.
no, I totally get it. But I mean, obviously, he benefits from having you around, and that's cool. We love having you around. I love having you on, like, because you're supposed to be on Wits and Wagers, but got sick at the last minute, unfortunately. Thought you would have had a blast.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to have you on when we do some of the other ones in the near future, for sure, because it's on the list to do. And maybe do another Fiasco in there. I think we can, maybe wrangle a few people for that.
That'd be fun. I was actually really looking forward to that Wits and Wagers too, because that was the new one, right? The casino one.
Yeah, the Vegas.
Yeah, that was a rough weekend. I saw Infinity Ward that weekend too, because we had already pre-scheduled tickets before before I really got sick, and it was hard to get the tickets, and they were the D-box seats, which like shake and move around with the video, which sounds great. But the thing I had was shingles, which specifically it hurts when I move around, especially my midsection.
Oh.
So I'm watching the movie and I'm loving it. I'm loving getting jerked around. But like every time Thanos hits somebody, like I feel it. I feel the pain.
Can't you turn that off? You don't have an option to turn it off?
I wasn't gonna do that.
You're gonna man up and deal with it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was sore afterwards, but it was a lot of fun.
I guess. That definitely sounds pretty cool. So what'd you think of the movie overall? You like it? You anxious for the next one?
Oh yeah, I really liked it. When we came out of the theaters, I think it was a big group, like five of us that went. And of course, we came out of the movie and just talked a lot about what we think was happening and like, oh, are these people really, insert spoiler here?
Right. Well, exactly. And, it's going to be, I just think it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of foregone knowledge, and it's just going to be, okay, well, it's like watching, it's one of the reasons like episode 3 in Star Wars is mildly bearable to watch because you know where the end of the show ends, right? Well, actually, I think Rogue One's a better example because you know where that ends. And so like, okay, the Titanic sinks, right? But it's just, how do we get there is going to be interesting because I think you're right. But I really liked it. Have you gone and seen it again yet? Or are you just going to be happy with one time? And
I only saw it in theaters once. I actually saw Deadpool 2 twice. I went with a friend for his birthday to see it, even though I'd seen it already. Like everybody basically has Netflix at this point. Only half the people paid for it. But
right,
you know,
and I thank you for the
Netflix.
key you gave me, by the way. That's
no problem. I borrowed it from 2 other people.
Of course.
I actually have two separate people's Netflix account. One that I use on my computer, and the other I use on my iPad, just because I never got around to logging out of one.
You kind of got Netflix problems like that. That's definitely first world problems right there.
Yeah, I got too many Netflix accounts.
Oh no, not paying for any of them.
No.
Yeah, I can't get on the Hulu wagon. I can't. Although.
No.
I tell you what I am totally on board with. Did you see the new Karate Kid, the Cobra Kai show that's on the YouTube
No, I've
Red?
been told. No, I've been told I should watch it though.
Well, do you care? I'm like, ignore the one with Will Smith's kid. Let's ignore the one with Jaden in it. Jaden Smith, right? Go back to the original, like Ralph Macchio and that. Did you enjoy that as a youngling?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I liked the new one too, just because it had like Jackie Chan as Mr. Miyagi, which was fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
Jackie's always fun. So
well, interesting side note. Apparently, Will Smith must have bought into the property when he did that because he actually produced the show. Overbrook Entertainment, it's actually named for a town that's like 5 miles from here. It's not very far at all. Well, not from here, but from you, it's 5 miles. But yeah, it's really close. So Will Smith grew up here. It's like his parents still live here.
You live in West Philadelphia?
Born and raised? No. I live right outside. There's a little town called King of Prussia that's outside of there. I grew up there. Now I live about 10 minutes west of that. So But Philadelphia, pretty close, 17 miles from me where I live now, so it's not too far. No, it's a great town. I love it. It's so it's cool. But anyway, he produces that show, and it's kind of amazing because it starts out being told from like the Cobra Kai Johnny's point of view from Cobra Kai, and like how it all went down, and it kind of did a reverse underdog story. Because now Johnny's the underdog and Ralph Macchio's a successful businessman and all that. And and then they interweave like their students and all this other crap. And it's amazing. I watched it twice. I couldn't stop myself, but it was kind of like the last time I felt about a show like that was the one, oh man. Daredevil from Netflix season 1. That was the last time I like went and binged a show and then like came right back like within a week and did it again because that was awesome. I still love that show.
Oh, I've binged all of the Netflix shows. I have no filter for even the worst one, which to me was Iron Fist. And I think to most of the internet was Iron Fist. I watched that in a day and a half. Okay. Well, I didn't enjoy it. It was a special form of torture for a good part of it.
Yeah,
but, I did it.
Yeah, I don't get it. It just, I don't know. I kind of felt like they were rushing the story so that they could make the Defenders, a little bit.
I think so.
It just was like they could have done it in half the time and been twice as good. But they had to do like a full season. And I like Jessica Jones just fine. I saw the Cage one, Luke Cage once. I did not watch the Iron Fist because I heard so much crap. I went straight to Defenders and watched that. So
that's fair. And if you weren't confused during Defenders, you don't need to go back and watch Iron Fist because it.
And I think that shows how good it was that I really wasn't. Like it didn't take long to figure out his ability, and he spent some time like looking at a Shaolin monk or something, right? So.
Yeah. Speaking of figuring out things related to Marvel, Legion. Have you watched Legion?
No. Is it good?
It's good. It's confusing.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. lost me. Like it jumped the shark. Like I
went back and I stopped watching Agents 3. Yeah, 3 seasons in of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I stopped too, and eventually I heard it got better. So I went back and I watched the rest, and it did get better. I like air quotes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't suggest it to anyone at this point. Legion is just do you know much about comic books, like the character of Legion at all by any chance?
Nope. I know that he recruits followers as his main power, right?
Weirdly enough, sort of yes, but he's Professor X's son, and he's just a hugely powerful mutant whose ability varies depending on what personality is present at the time, but he's full of personalities. So he pops through like having telekinesis or like pyrokinesis or actual reality warping. Like it just depends on what flavor of the week it is.
Really?
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories that revolve around him like literally pulling people into his brain space and them thinking they're somewhere for like years at a time, and then just being like, oh, we just spent a couple hours in his head. That's fun. So the show takes it, it grounds it a little bit more, but it's still one of those things where you never quite know what's real. And it's so off the charts in scale that, at one point they make a comment, like if we really tick this guy off, it's possible he could just end the world, like just by thinking about it. So let's not test that,
Nice.
Because he's the good guy, but when you have a lot of a character with a lot of mental problems in comic books, being a good guy, you're right a fence. Like even the Incredible Hulk, for example. The Incredible Hulk's a good guy,
right? But
sometimes he isn't because he gets really mad.
Yeah, and you won't like him when he's angry, right? But I do like the and you saw it with the with Thor Ragnarok. I like the Banner Hulk making the way. I definitely think that's kind of interesting that you're seeing personality and things coming out I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And I like.
I think that's going to go places.
Yeah,
that's going to go places after Infinity War too, because whatever spoilers, but he couldn't get the Hulk out during the movie, and I think that's great because it kind of, I know, whatever. I don't think that one's a big spoiler, but so he couldn't get it out, and that'll be interesting to see if in the future movies what that means. Does it mean that are they going to split and become two entities? Is the Hulk going to become really intelligent?
Right, because it was the exact opposite in Ragnarok. He wouldn't go in because he was happy being out and smashing things.
Yeah.
Although, I love it when Thor goes, "You're embarrassing me. I told him we were friends." But,
yeah.
All right.
No, that movie was great.
You know what? There's really, like, if Thor Dark World is the worst movie in that Marvel run,
and it is,
we've got it pretty good. Let's not lie here. I mean, it's no DC universe, thank God. And
listen, thanks to Thor: The Dark World, we had Thor putting his hammer on a coat rack. So
yeah,
it's got that. It's got that going for it.
And it turns into the well, I mean, at the beginning of Ragnarok, he kind of does because it's an umbrella, which I thought was awesome when it was when Mjolnir was an umbrella. That was pretty.
Although that leads me to a tangent. I won't go on too long.
Because we never get on tangents on this show. The whole show's a tangent. What are you talking about?
But so humor is great, and I love humor in movies.
Okay.
But I always I'll say cringe. I always cringe a little when the humor implies something that could mean something in the future.
Sure.
And so in Ragnarok, when Loki and Thor run into Doctor Strange, the first thing that happens is Doctor Strange just takes Loki and throws him in a portal. Right. And you're like, okay, that's not a big deal. He probably just threw him somewhere, maybe like wrapped him up in chains. I don't know. He did something magical to him.
Right.
But then he just has all these conversations with Thor. And again, just to be funny, they keep teleporting Thor all over the place and he slams into stuff and it's funny. And then at the end of all that conversation, spills his beer, yeah. And at the end of all the conversation, he just drops Loki, who apparently has been falling for 5 minutes, and Loki's angry.
Right.
But the thing is, like, Loki himself is, an accomplished sorcerer and practices dark arts. He's come back from being dead multiple times.
Right.
And how does Doctor Strange have enough power or mastery over magic that he can take someone else who can cast magic and throw them into an infinite loop without like any setup? Like, there's no setup. There's just, hi, okay, you're in a portal now and you're not coming out. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay, you're gone. And it's just like, okay, so what is stopping him from just saying, okay, like, hi, Thanos, okay, you're in an infinitely falling portal now. Or like, hi, Thanos, you're in the sun now.
Right.
And like, spoilers, maybe that happens in Infinity War, but still, it's just strange. It implies a level of power that I don't think he actually has. I think it's just for humor. And
yeah. And then I love the part though where he's like, because he opens the portal for them, and then they start giving him guff, and he's just like, all right, you're out of here, and he just like moves the portal over them.
It's just like, you're gone.
Because you never see that. You see the portal staying put, but then all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, if you can just open this thing and then just throw it places, there's a weapon there, because you could just throw like a bullet-sized portal and just like teleport somebody's heart right out of their body if you wanted. Like there's
there's definitely there's lots of conversations you can have. Like, maybe it could only affect someone up to a certain strength. Like, you couldn't pierce Thanos' skin, for example, or maybe the Hulk.
Right.
Like, you couldn't do that. And so sure, but and plus when it's inside his house, I'm kind of okay with that, because I assume inside of the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah.
Right, he probably has pre-set up portals and stuff. It's just when he was outside that made me a little uncomfortable. Like, you shouldn't be able to throw people around quite that easy.
Yeah, even if it is Loki and he deserved it. I mean,
he definitely deserved it, and I definitely laughed when it happened. It was like, after the movie, I thought, wow, is Doctor Strange that powerful now that he can just teleport people around against their will? And apparently he is.
So I'm reading a book series right now called the Iron Druid series, and it's where there's a druid who's been around for like 2,000 years. He's the last one. And one of the things is, and they introduce it early on in the books, is that Thor's a complete dick. Like, he is just like this monster asshole, just like, you know, makes fun of everybody. He does things at other people's expenses, and it's hysterical. He's like, and they even reference like the new Thor that's being shown on TV and stuff, and how he's kind of, you know, he's being rebranded, but he's still a dick underneath, and he's still an asshole. And it's, I love the series. It's a great book. I'm enjoying it. I'm up to book 6, and it's on audiobooks, no less. I actually thought it was Eric Summerer at first reading it. I even tweeted him. He's like, yeah, not me. And I'm like, sorry.
Not me.
Sounds like you. Sorry. He just reads trashy romance novels, too, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
it makes me think of, did you ever see the Almighty Johnsons?
No.
It's an older show, and it's the cast is from New Zealand. And basically, I think it was New Zealand, but the idea is that their family, once they hit like the age of adulthood, which I think is 16, they get revealed to them that they're actually the Norse gods that have been cast down to Earth, like out of Asgard. And so it has all the Asgardian characters, including the ones that you wouldn't normally think of. And there's like a quest where they have to try to find a certain person, and it's just really fun because it's, you know, average people that have like the power of the gods. And it's just fun. It's just a fun little romp. But Thor also in that is just kind of like a drunk buffoon who also has like the ability to, like, his hammer, I think, is something weird. It's like a wrench, because like whatever Thor holds is his hammer essentially. So he has like a wrench or something like that he calls Mjolnir, and he like throws the wrench at people.
That's kind of awesome. What's it called?
Yeah, it's called the Almighty Johnsons.
All right, I'm gonna have to look that up. That sounds great.
Yeah, and I'll look up the Cobra Kai one after I finish. Cowboy Bebop is what I'm watching now.
Yeah, I think you'll have to let me know what you think. I love it. I think it's pretty awesome. All right, well, I think it's time to play a game, because, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's another thing we do, and we gotta see what Dan cooked up, because I think he did something, but we'll have to find out when we come back from the break. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the show. Real quick, I just wanted to take a moment to let you know a few things about us. Number one is we have a Pod Pledge page. Now on there you can donate any amount, monthly, weekly, daily, whatever, and any of that goes directly to support the show, build the sets, better equipment, and all those things. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm not trying to quit my day job. Just anything helps. Number two is please check out our social media. If you're not following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, please do so. We definitely interact with our people a lot on there because we want you guys to be part of this show. Also, be sure to subscribe to YouTube. You know that little red button down there? Make sure you're clicking that, and also do the bell icon so that you can get notified whenever we post a video. Once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. Lastly, please be sure to tell your friends. Whether you retweet something, whether you go out and you tell them about the channel, show them a show, anything you can do to get the word out, we would greatly appreciate it. So that's it. I'm now going to return you to your regularly scheduled program. Operators are standing by.
Games with guests, yeah. Games with guests.
Welcome back. It's game time. I've got cards. You're bebopping, but unfortunately I didn't get you cards because I'm not cool like that, because it's expensive to ship stuff to Canada, and let's not lie. But Dan came up with a little game for us. This one's going to test me because I have no theater experience. I don't know how this is going to go. So, Dan, I think you, sir, need to explain our game today.
Absolutely. I am the bartender and games master. So.
You are. It's like you're running Quizzo at the club or something. At the pub, I should say.
There we go.
If you're running Quizzo at the... it doesn't really work.
Yep. See, bartender, not DJ.
Okay, fair enough.
So what we're going to do a little improv theater, a little collaborative storytelling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off a scene that Pep is going to improvise here. I'll take a setting, a premise from the studio audience. You have a set of cards which are prompts. So periodically...
You ripped my cards. Can I just point that out?
I have improved them.
Destroyed
I
my
have
logo.
turned them into convenient flashcards.
I kind of have to hold them like this. It's not like I don't have a case of like 1,000 of these.
Hey, you gotta save paper.
Brandon, you are not chief branding officer.
It's true. I did sabotage the logo shot there.
It's all for your art. I know. Anyway, get back to your game, sir.
So, periodically, Pep will start us off. He will start riffing on the scene. He will incorporate the line that comes from, by the magic of the internet, his first card. And then, at some point, there will be a ding. At that point, you will take over the story. You will look at your card. You will learn what line you have to incorporate in the scene, and you will keep it going. Periodically, it will ding. We will switch again. We will draw another card, all the way until we create theater magic.
So, what you're telling me is it's a cheap ripoff of whose line?
No, 100% of our games are original.
Okay. Because these aren't little slips of paper put in my pocket, so therefore the trademark is null and void.
Completely different. So let me reach out to the studio audience, and can I get a volunteer, Reuven, who can provide a premise or setting for our game?
So where are we?
You're in the mythical town of Gamehenge.
Gamehenge.
Right.
So, Pep, you begin in Gamehenge, and you draw your first card, and action.
Oh, it was a sunny day in the town of Gamehenge. Many children were spending a joyous morning strolling through the broken cardboard boxes of satisfaction. And then, in the distance, like the largest, most powerful thing you've ever seen, Twilight Imperium.
And it's sat upon two other boxes. It's sat upon Twilight Imperium 3 and the somewhat lesser Twilight Imperium 2. But knowing that 4 was superior, our young adventurer decided to look up into the sky and pass it on. It walked over to the next set of games that were piled upon, and there were two boxes that were just standing on their own. They were just standing there. One was In the Year of the Dragon. Thought that was interesting. He's like, the Great Feld has been here. And then he saw the other, and it was Agricola. And he's like, Mr. Rosenberg has been here.
And there was much rejoicing, for Mr. Rosenberg is the king.
He is.
Of Gameton. And not often does he bless the patrons of the town with his presence, but on this day, it was said, rumored in fact, that he may make an appearance. And so everyone was quite a hustle and bustle, looking throughout the street, hoping that they might catch a glimpse of this legendary man. And through the shadows of the trees, they saw an approaching figure.
And that approaching figure reached out, and with a voice that kind of held gravitas and meaning and the depth of just knowledge and power, and said, "In case of a tie, rejoice in your shared victory." And thus it was said, and thus it shall be. And forever has it been known in every Uwe game that you should rejoice in your shared victory. To that point in Gameton, they now have a holiday on this day. I believe it was September the 3rd. And when they get together and they just rejoice. And they all play a game and they all tie. And they try and try to make sure that they tie in a Dr. Seuss fashion so that they can
truly enjoy the holiday that is upon them. But on this particular holiday, one Roderick Smithington came to the village, knowing full well what he planned to do. After a heated game of Jenga, Rodney left the tower in quite disarray, and unfortunately, the tower were to crumble. And Rodney said, "Oh, I was so sure I had the safety on," thinking, what humor is this? The town will love me. I have ruined their holiday, but brought them great joy and laughter. But no one laughed, for no one found Roderick to be funny.
But they didn't know what they were talking about. And it was to be the greatest moment in Roderick's career, that he came upon this day and this holiday and understood finally what true ties meant. And he stood and he said that, this is just amazing. And I think that people around the world should rejoice in their shared victory. And from now on, I am going to close every proclamation I make of instructions of Gamington's history shall end with the phrase, "Yeah, so it turns out en fuego is not Spanish for restroom."
And the village looked on in great confusion as there are no restrooms in Gamington. Everyone enjoys themselves too much to have the need to defecate. Because that, my friends, is how science works.
It is.
I think a fitting conclusion.
Gamington rests at the bottom of the hill with Gamehenge at the top. So later on, Sir Roderick decided to ascend the hill and visit Gamehenge. And he sees the Rosenberg, and he sees the Feld, and he sees the archway of Twilight Imperium, and he sets his watch by the calendar of the Druids, and he looks down and says that all you have to do is step kick, step kick, step kick, and you'll be able to tell time in this ancient calendar and be able to see the truth that is Gamehenge. Oh my God, that was awful. All right, so that was so good. So we had to take 5 minutes and we re-prepped, and we're going to do this again because as fun as that was, I feel the need to do it again. So we had Pep write his down. I have new ones. And Dan, what are we doing this time?
Well, actually, you'll start this story off, the scene, and what we'll do, we'll get Pep to provide our setting, our premise. Hit me.
All right. So where are we doing this?
All right. I think I want it to be on a spaceship. A spaceship bound for adventure with a plucky crew.
It's got to be a plucky crew, right?
They have to be plucky.
Absolutely.
So,
if they're not plucky,
Yeah.
it's just like Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
So you've got
no Cylons, though.
Yeah, they were not plucky. All right, so you want more Firefly, less Battlestar. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Scene set. Interior. Battlestar ship that looks not like a Battlestar but kind of is. All right. So the scene starts with us focused in on the first officer, John. Officer John. He's walking down the hallway, runs into an ensign, and he's like, "Hello, ensign. How we doing today?" It's like, "Everything's good." "Are those performance reports coming along?" They are. Excellent. So nothing's going on this adventure. We're just kind of cruising along, halfway through the first year of our 5.5-year mission because we're half better than other shows. Like, nope, nothing's going along here, crewman. All right, so John moves along, walks down the hallway, sees the, not a 10 forward, but he sees the kind of lounge. He walks by that, walks on. He's kind of just waiting to go on duty. He's not quite ready to walk onto the bridge yet, doing his rounds. Walks into the office of the doctor. He goes, "Hello, doctor." She looks up at him and says, "Oh, hello, John. How are you this morning?" And John's like, "Oh, I'm quite well. Thank you very much. How long am I going to go? You going to dig me at all here? You just got to make me go."
I was enjoying this. I thought I was going to get a whole episode.
You almost were. Well, no. You got to let me go. And gotta let me go. So anyway, she looks up at John and she says, "Well, how are you feeling?" He's like, "I'm feeling pretty good." He's like, "Last night was a little rough." And she goes, "Well, that's going to happen when you have 4 Pangalactic Gargle Bastards.
Yeah, and John says, that was quite a night, but did you hear about the clowns?" She looks up in confusion. The clowns. Yes, they were a traveling space troupe of humorous entertainers, but they got a little too drunk, and I have to say, I heard clowns a lot of them can fit into a car. You can't fit that many of them into the transporter. So now what we have is
So we kind of now have clown soup, and I apologize to Chief because man, that room was a mess. It was just absolutely horrible, and I feel bad. But really, I just wanted to see if you had anything for a headache or anything. So, but real quick before I asked that, I thought I would tell you that 3 wrong turns do in fact make a right. So when I screw up once, I like to do it 2 more times. And the nurse said, that kind of makes sense given that you had 4 drinks last night and you were under the table. But it was what came after that was amazing.
And suddenly, at that moment, a man bursts into the doctor's office. "Captain, I heard you were here. Quick, there is an emergency." The captain looks over. "What is it, First Mate Nelson?" "There's been a problem with the clowns. Their families want to know where they are, and now the intergalactic police are also on our tails. And I asked 10 forward, not 10 forward, command, Central Command. Sorry, still a little drunk from last night. I asked them, what should we do? And they said, you should send lawyers, guns, and money. And so...
and the worst part was that the captain was in the car with the clowns, and that's why I got promoted this morning to captain from first officer, said John, because that's originally what he started out as. And he looked at the now newly promoted first mate, who's now the first officer, newly promoted as well, and he goes, where are the families? I mean, we send them these lawyers, we send them these drugs, we send them the money, but they're still coming. And I think it's important to know that with this tiny piece of paper, I can make you slip. And if I wanted to, that would cause you maybe a twisted ankle. And I think for that very reason, you'd better listen to me. And John was quite forceful about it.
So forceful, in fact, that the paper slipped and caught, I can't remember the name, in the throat. And suddenly, blood was spraying everywhere. Luckily, they were in the medical bay. So the doctor quickly patched him up, and John returned to the captain's command center.
And it's a wrap.
Can't think of...
Bridge, maybe?
Bridge! That's the word!
So as he goes to the bridge, he walks on, and everybody just kind of looks over, and they kind of all hang their head in shame. Because it was all of them. It was the bridge crew that was egging on the clown posse. You know, it was the music, Clown Posse music. It was just this whole theme. And, you know, who would have thought that, you know, who names a transporter the Volkswagen 3000 anyway? I just think, you know, it was just begging for a problem like this to happen. And John was just having a very bad day. And he looks over at his Ramu King, first, you know, security officer, and he looks at him and he says straight in his face, he's like, if I put your head on a scale, how much would it weigh? Because right now, that's really what he wanted to know. Because he really, he was done with the clowns. We've been through this. He was tired. He's now the captain of the ship. He still has 4.5 years to go. He's exhausted. The doctor thinks he's an idiot. The poor chief is cleaning up the transporter room.
Yes, and what a mess it was, says the chief. What a mess it was. I don't know how much my head would weigh, so I can't answer that question. But listen, we really need to get out of this situation. So I think it's your job. You're the captain. You need to steer us where we need to go. You need to take us somewhere that will be safe. So John takes that to heart. John goes to the bridge. That's where the command center is. And that's how a spaceship works. And John heads to the bridge and announces to the crew, attention crew of the ISS Findlehop. There was an incident, as many of you know, in the hall last night, and a very unfortunate accident, of which all of you were involved and are now criminals, regardless of whether you were there or not. So, we are now outside of the law. We need to protect ourselves. So we need to go to one of the darkest, most desolate places of the universe, Ravenhaven.
And so, the order was given to set the course for Ravenhaven. And as the ship is powering up, the families are calling on the phone, the space phone, trying to find out what happened to their families. John decides at that moment in time, screw it, we're out of here. And he just takes the ship, turns off the beacon, and runs. And you just see the ship disappear into the skyline and is gone forever.
And scene.
Wow. He got promoted. He got everything.
I feel like that's the best part of all these things is you never remember like what's happening in the moment.
No, it really is. You have to like stay on top of things because I'm going to have to remember what the hell the name of this ship is later, and I don't. And by the way, I never named the doctor. But
no, I know.
Thank God. You never name anybody.
No, if you name them, they're just gonna die. That's how it works on shows.
And then you might feel something, and we don't want that.
Unlike the clowns, they didn't feel a thing.
Well, Dan, thank you, sir. That was a entertaining game, if nothing else. I think that was fun. I mean, let's face it. There's not many people I'd want to try that with. That was rather enjoyable and funny. So
I'm just gonna hold the scorecard here for. I don't think I'm going to reveal that to the audience. Between all the points lost for continuity errors and
Star Trek's full of continuity errors. You can't. It's actually a plus because it gives everybody something to like geek out, nerd out, and find. And you know, Spock's uniform was twisted in this episode, not in that, right? So we're baking it in. I mean, come on.
That's true.
It's
we're just trying to play to our audience, man.
Your audience needs to know nothing about your negative scores, so.
And I lose at co-ops like you wouldn't believe. Well, who's to say? Pep, this was fun. I had a lot of fun tonight.
Oh, definitely.
I appreciate you coming on the show. I've been wanting to get you on the show frankly, since day one. You know, and You did not disappoint, sir. This was a great time. So let's tell the kind folks in the world where they can find you.
Oh, definitely. I am on Twitter at BoardPep, which should be on the screen right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also check me out the gameplays for Watch It Played on YouTube. I do the occasional tutorial, but mostly do the gameplays.
Yeah, you've done a couple. I've enjoyed them. They're fun, but it's good. But definitely check out the live shows. You guys still do the live shows? Yeah, they're a hoot.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
absolutely.
We actually got a second camera, so that we should be able to have the same quality on the headshot as the table shot now, which will make the live shows a lot easier.
Good. I appreciate that. Believe me, I understand. So that's awesome. Look for you guys as you grow this BGG partnership. Congratulations. And know that Pep is included in the package deal, that he is part of Watch It Played. So of the little guys that Rodney has in his logo, which one's you? Because don't they represent Rodney and his two kids? So who are you then?
I think they did originally. Funny enough, though, I think one of my favorite contributions that I had to the show was Rodney wore white shirts all the time before.
Right, and his little logo on it, yeah.
With the little logo. And at one point, after I started doing things on the show, he said, "Listen, we really need to get you a shirt." And I said, "Well, the two of them on the screen with the same color shirt might be a little bit bland, so maybe I should get a different color." And he said, "Oh, what colors do you want?" And I'm like, "I think I look good in red." And so I ended up getting a red shirt. And while he was there, making the shirt and getting the logos done, he thought, I should really get a different shirt now too. Sure. So he got himself the blue shirt, and now we have the classic red and blue shirts that we've been using since, which match up with the icons, the little figures in the back.
Amazing.
We just need a green one. Yeah, we need a green one. So
yeah. Well, and then when he's not wearing the Watch Played shirt, he just wears plaid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, me too. Well, I'm not wearing plaid now.
I know,
but I swear.
I'm impressed. You staved it off. Well, thanks anyway for being on. It was a lot of fun. You're definitely going to see more Pep because we're going to do Fiasco again, and there's no way I can't not have you on because
no, I would love to.
You got the chops, and you bring it to every party. So I definitely think that's fun. Be sure to check out the new games and have fun when you guys game all night.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Game All Night is proud to be sponsored by Game Toppers. Check them out at GameToppersLLC.com, upgrading your gaming experience. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our efforts at comedy and fun, please support us on PodPledge. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to engage with us on BoardGameGeek Guild 3134. You can also check us out on our website, GameAllNightShow.com. This show has been made possible through supporters like these. Angry Octopus. No, it's automatic. It's totally automatic. He's not. You look confused, Ruben.
I'm pretty good on the improv. I like to ramble.
Though none of this.
Oh,
Y'all back? Oh,
Nope.
we had him. Damn it.
So start the recording. Go.